And here we are. It's Wednesday. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Wherever you're joining us from, welcome to the Light 'em Up Lounge. Welcome back. Welcome to another exciting interview, another wonderful show with two special guests. Joining us live from the Dominican Republic. I'm very much looking forward to welcoming Danays Leon Sanchez and Dorin Potolinka here with us at the Light 'em Up Lounge. Before we get to all the beautiful stuff regarding Sperlinga Tobacco and Sperlinga Cigars, I want to wholeheartedly welcome everybody joining us over on the Facebook live stream. If you have questions, please make yourselves heard in the comment section underneath the video stream, and I will be glad and honored to forward your questions to our treasured guests. To everybody here at the lounge, welcome. Thank you for joining us as every week. Always wonderful to see so many familiar faces, friends, family, regulars. Everybody here, we're all together. So let's get things rolling. And without further ado, I want to welcome our two guests of honor tonight. Danays, Dorin, thank you so much for taking the time and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to Light 'em Up.
To you, thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation, for having us there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Reinhard. It's an honor and a great pleasure to be here with you and with all the friends that are watching now and will watch later. Thank you very much.
The pleasure and honor is all ours. And Danays, we've been in contact for a while. You joined our lounge sessions from the early days, and we spent many wonderful conversations here together. We had the pleasure of sitting down together and enjoying cigar in Dortmund at the Intertabac show. And things have changed also for you in your professional path with cigars over the last couple of years. Obviously, the inception and the launch of Sperlinga Tobacco and your own cigar brand is quite a substantial step and truly exciting. But we have a global audience. We have people joining us from all over the world, from Southeast Asia to the US and all over the Americas and pretty much everything in between. So give us a little bit of the inside baseball of how Danays and Dorin met and how a love story, also turned into a wonderful business venture.
You want to say something?
You must.
He's the storyteller. Yes, it's probably, well, somebody told me the other day, well, it's not quite unusual, but for me, it's unusual, right? To meet somebody on the social media. And we have to be honest, we met because of Facebook.
We met in Facebook,
Yeah.
point.
Exactly. First of all, because of cigars. Because you know our community. We know each other. Maybe we haven't met in person ever, but we know people and we have friends and we take care of each other and we worry about them when we don't see them and we send messages, how are you? And some people send cigars and they are very kind to each other. And because of this wonderful community that we share, all of us, we follow people that we don't know, but we are interested in their content and what they do in their stories and their history and everything. That's what made us get together. And the platform was Facebook, but it was cigars. It was cigars. It was a picture of myself smoking a Habano with a Guayabera in Cuba that made him write to me. Something very unusual because that we communicate with a lot of people. We answer questions because people know, okay, if you are a cigar sommelier or this or that, they ask you questions or they want to ask you, how can I take a course or things like this, but just personal things. So you deal only with people that you really know or when you have been in contact for a time. And that was how I will not get into more details, but that was essentially how we met because of cigars. This wonderful thing.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, what can go wrong if cigars are the the unifying element and the glue that brings us together. That's a wonderful way to start off such a relationship. But you both individually also had your own experiences with cigars previously, and had discovered your love and appreciation for tobacco and premium cigars a while before you actually met.
Me, I'm coming here in March. I will have 6 years. I live a time in the United States. I have a friend and a lawyer, and we're speaking about cigars. He told me, I have a lot of relation in Dominican Republic. I was a smoker, a normal smoker. And he told me, my father go in March. You want to go to see a factory there? When? 23 of March. I can forget it. And I coming here, second day to the factory, to the same factory till 1 year ago. Was incredible. I love completely. I don't know nothing about cigar, absolutely nothing. I have a friend in Swiss. He told me, I want 3 quality of cigars. I asked the guy, give me 3 quality of cigars. They laughed. We laughed till today about these 3 quality of cigars. They give me 3 quality of cigars. I sent to him, and this become first client. And like this, it's born in Sperlinga about my name, and after 1 year, it's appear the professor, and like this, we start to work together. The pandemic stopped us for a time, but after this, we're coming here, and we're coming for 3 months, and look, we are here for more than 3 years.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So our stories are a little bit different in that sense. Dorin, he knew that he loved cigars. He enjoyed very much smoking cigars. At the moment, he didn't know very much about cigars, but he said, I love this, and I want to know more about this, and I want to have a brand. And he came here with this. He was very courageous because he came to the Dominican Republic without speaking Spanish, and he started getting in touch with the factories and meeting people and getting to know. And it was quite an adventure for him. But in my case, it's a little bit different. I got into the cigar world through Habanos, right? But I always say this, I did not get into the cigar world because I was pursuing a career or a professional, performance or development. So I did it because...
Excuse me,
Yeah.
for who don't know, Danays is Cuban.
Yeah, probably nobody knows, right? So I'm so proud of my roots that I from time to time I just tell people, okay, I am Cuban, I'm here. So I love my roots. I'm very proud of being Cuban, not because of cigars, because I'm proud of my family, the country I was born, and which is homeland, has nothing to do with other things. So homelands, you take it with you everywhere you go. So and then going back to my story regarding cigars. Well, I lived in Canada for 7 years, right? So I was married to my daughter's father at the moment, and there was a community that from time to time they used to get together and smoke some habanos, because there is a habano representation there in Toronto. And when I started going to these gatherings and I started smelling, my God, the smoke of the habanos, I said, my God, but this is so wonderful. It just took me back to my childhood because my father used to smoke cigars. So I have to, my father is a very important figure in my life, because I recognize in myself a lot of things which, common things, right? Like my mother too, but in other sense, in other sides of my personality. But for you to understand why I'm so attached to the image of my father and the things that he liked, my father was father of 4 girls. Previous marriage, he had 2 girls, and second marriage with my mother, she had 2 girls. So 4 girls. He never had a boy. And in my childhood, I used to wear boots, and I used to go in the car with my father everywhere to check on horses, because he liked horses, to check. He was a hunter, and for me was fascinating. And this being in Toronto and smelling the smoke of Habanos and just being transported back to my childhood, and this wonderful smell of cigars said, okay, when I went back to Cuba, I said, I really want to pursue something. I want to know more about this. Not to become a professional, but I just wanted to know more. Like I had some studies on restaurant service and all that prior to go to Canada. And I said, okay, I want to know more about wines too and drinks because it was wonderful for me. So that's how I got involved in this in Cuba, right? In all these sommelier courses, I have a sommelier and all that. And from there, well, I started developing other, and it became a profession now, right? It's my passion, it's my work, it's my life.
Denise, it's fascinating to see how one thing can lead to the other, and how things progress, and what is deeply engraved in sort of your DNA and your childhood memories then turns into a passionate hobby, and eventually into a profession. And all of these steps in our lives and careers have different challenges around them as well. Um, how would you say has your perception of cigars and tobacco and the industry changed throughout these steps? Because you have a very holistic perspective on the industry, looking at it from so many different angles. And I realized myself, you go through these different stages and they all offer you a different perspective on still that one product that you love so much. How was that for you, sort of that evolvement? And did you ever change in the way that you perceive and enjoy cigars, especially once it turned into, your life's foundation in terms of that's what puts food on the table?
Yes, yes. I think that my perception has evolved in a great stand. First of all, because I got into the cigar world through Habanos, right? So, but before getting into Habanos, I was a sommelier, wine spirits sommelier, which is a great foundation for the next step because it gives you a lot of techniques and knowledge on how to taste and sensory analysis and things that will help you a lot on the other stage in the cigar stage. So that's for me that's very important, right? In how I perceive cigars. The other thing is that being in Cuba, smoking only Habanos, so of course I had this idea. This is the best thing ever, right? It's what I knew. And when I smell for the first time another cigar, I was in a cigar lounge in Havana, and I was smoking a Habano, but I smelled something, and I said, "This is not a Habano. This is something different." And I just passed by the gentleman and I saw that he was smoking something with a different ring. And okay, but at the end we started talking and I asked the guy where this cigar and all that. And I said, this is so different. Okay, at the moment I said, I prefer my Habanos, right? But when I met Dorian, he just provided for me other cigars and he went to Cuba, he took other cigars, even La Galera. At the moment I smoked one of them, you know? So I said, this is so different. But I realized, okay, this takes to, like when you have, in the research methodology that you have to strip yourself from more preconceptions and principles and everything and just analyze whatever you're studying or research it on. You have without being affected by your previous knowledge of something. I said, okay, here I have to apply this in order to learn. So I have to expand my horizons and I need to taste this thinking of this is something different. And it took some time for my palate to adjust and to adapt to the new tastes and my nose to the new smell and aroma and all, but you have to be willing to do that. So I did it, and today I can tell you I don't like to compare one thing with the other one. They are different because of how they are made. They can be both wonderful, but my suggestion is whoever just restricts himself or herself to one thing is missing a lot in the world. So the cigar world is so vast, is so rich that you have to open your mind to taste and to try new things, because everywhere you can find wonderful, high quality, ultra premium cigars, and all are worth trying and tasting.
Now, when you first discussed Sperlinga Tobacco and cigars, I'm curious as to how that conversation came about. But secondly, with that vast experience that both of you have had and the exposure you've had to all various kinds of cigars, how did the idea form and then narrow down in particular to the specific type of cigar and the profile that you wanted to achieve when manufacturing your own?
Me, I start to smoke completely accident. Till 55 years old, I have 65 now. Till 55 years old, I don't smoke no one puff. Cigarettes, I don't smoke never. And I started smoking cigar by a friend who is taking me. I'm owner of a hotel in Romania, and someone come, a friend of mine, which work with on the boat, and tell me, I need to drink. I want to sell these cigars. Give me drink. No, I pay you. Give me. And he give me some Cohiba. I start with Cohiba. And I smoke. Interesting, because all the guys was there. My friends come. You must smoke. I don't smoke. No, you must smoke. And like this is fun. Yeah, I live in a lot of places in this life. Practically, I live in 5 continents. I live, that means more than a year. I live in Congo, I live in Cyprus, I live in Laos, I live in States, and now in South and Central America, there are 5 continents. And I arrive now, what is my idea? For me, a cigar means aromas. I'm not interested about nothing else, only tasting and aromas. And all the cigar, practically we have 2 lines of cigars. We have 29 vitolas in total in this moment.
Yeah.
We study a lot. We work for 1 line 2 years, for another line 11 months, only for arriving to aromas that we like to be. In Dominican Republic, it's starting to be a little complicated because the big guys that make cigars start to make cigars only with Dominican tobacco. And start to be a little complicated to tell, listen, me, I want to put a San Andres wrapper, no? Or I don't know, an Ecuador or something, and to put a leaf of Nicaragua inside. Finally, we do it. We do it, and our desire all the time about the taste of cigars, to be different and to be constant all the time. And I think we arrive at this. Complicated, but we are here.
Yes, and if you allow me to elaborate a little bit more about this and your question, we started trying a lot of cigars from the factory that we were working with, right? Without defining yet which was going to be our core line, like it is today, the Life Journey line, right? And the Volcano's line, which was the first line that, the limited edition that we launched. And we smoked a lot because we needed to learn. We needed to get acquainted with the different flavors and aromas and all that. And after a time, smoking and trying and just analyzing the formats, the shapes of the cigars, all different type of tobaccos, also trying some pure grades, right, to learn about them. So I just want to say something. We are not master blenders. We are not even close to being master blenders. We contribute in a very modest way to our cigars, but there are master blenders. They have been working on this, and then of course we check, we try, we taste, and we approve or not, or we say, okay, I would like to have these cigars a little bit more intense, or maybe this. We have our contribution.
We
But
know what we want.
Yes.
This is all the time. But
Yes,
we want,
we are not master blenders because I respect very much the work of master blenders and all the years that it takes to become a master blender. But certainly we contribute in a way. We really know what we want, and we want to have an excellent product that we like. And if we respect ourselves and we respect our consumers, of course, we think that in what we prepare for them. So I think that they will like it. For me, that's essential. Respect for the consumers, respect for our community. You know, I wouldn't put in the hands of anybody a cigar that I don't like, or I consider that the raw material was not properly fermented or aged. You know, I consider disrespectful, and one of the very good things that I inherited from my family is respect. And my life is just based, is one of my main lines to respect myself and to respect others. For me, that's essential. I cannot live without that. And after a long time, trying and trying and trying, we started thinking of the creative way. We started putting a little bit of our life, okay? And we say, okay, what can we do to have a nice line of cigars? Of course, Dorin, since he moved to Dominican Republic, he had his idea about having cigars with names of volcanoes because he's a geologist. And he said, okay, I want to have cigars with names of volcanoes. And that's why we decided just to launch ourselves with our parachute with the Volcanoes line, limited edition. It was a very hard work, right?
20 vitolas.
20 different cigars. Made La Aurora Cigar Factory with the blends of the one and only Manuel Hinoa, which I love him. And working with him was something unbelievable. And at the same time, because we were working on this project, we were working also in the core line. And we said, how can we name these cigars? I said, okay, I want to have a line. Doesn't matter if they are sold separate, okay? So you have, in different markets, they buy different cigars, but we want to name it and something that has to do with us, how we met, how's the evolution of a cigar when you smoke the cigar, how, like the life of a human being. So we decided just to call it the life journey line. It's our journey in the cigar world, it's our journey in this wonderful world of ours with all the problems that we have and all the beautiful things that we also have. And we decided to name like this. For us, it's very personal, and we thought that the persons, the people, the cigar lovers who would smoke our cigars, they needed to know what we put into these cigars. Yep. Our lives, our passion for this, and like this, we have the core line. The Life Journey line with 9 cigars at the moment, with names of emotions, feelings, situations in which the human being is found sometimes at some point in life, like
the passion, the decision, the
crossroad, the longing, dream, exactly, the
choice.
resilience. Yeah. But also the shape of the cigars, they are related to also to the names of the cigars in a way, you know. So everything has a story. It's our story.
And you will see the next project because are exactly in the same sense. All the names mean something, and the cigar is assorted with the name. This will be.
Yeah, but let's
we
not
don't
go,
talk about.
Yeah, let's not go so far.
Spoiler alert, you know. Don't give away all the secrets yet. Many things I love that we just heard, and I want to dive a little deeper there. First of all, the respect you named, Danays, and I feel that oozing out of everything that you do and the way you've put this whole thing together. And I firmly believe that the cigar in general is a product that deserves but also demands respect, and somehow mystically and magically translates that feeling and sensation onto the people who enjoy that particular product. And I have met over the years so many people in this industry or adjacent to this industry that I can firmly say carry those values, and in particular the value of respect towards the land, towards the gift from Mother Nature, towards other people's ingenuity and craftsmanship and time, most importantly. And that is what I believe contributes to the uniqueness of this industry and this product in particular, and why I think cigars are just the most fascinating, mesmerizing, and mystical product that beautifully brings people together. And I also want to say that you managed to beautifully capture that in the way you put together the brand and your core line. And I also love the conceptual focus in how you build the portfolio. And I'm very curious to see what's to come and what do you have installed for us next. Just to go one step back to the how can I say, the audacity even to come out with your own brand. The reason I say it that way is, God knows there's plenty of cigars on the market, right? And I think we all wouldn't be bored for the rest of our lives if we were just to go through everything our local tobacconist has on the shelves and try all kinds of different cigars. And that's just a very complicated way of saying, why even start a new brand or create a new cigar when you could possibly argue there's plenty of great experiences to be had?
Yes.
What gave you, especially with both of your experiences and exposure to so many cigars, what gave you the confidence and the faith to say, we're going to put our name on this and we're going to put forth a brand of cigars, a range of different cigar experiences, knowing that there's so much great stuff out there, but still wishing and hoping for others to enjoy the unique contribution you could make to this industry?
The love, the passion,
Yeah, exactly.
the love, the
Yes.
passion, and
So-
the desire to make. The nice have a very nice word. We are persons, we love very much art, but it's your, please to
No,
speak
it's
about.
okay. I just
It's very
explained-
nice what she tell, because I agree 100% about this.
Yes, but I will explain that. But first, I want to answer briefly what Reinhard was asking. I think what's behind our decision to put ourselves, our own lives and resources into this, the main reason is love, right? So maybe love is a little bit blind. Like some people say, okay, love is blind. You don't see what you have ahead of you. Doesn't matter. That's what you feel at the moment, and you have to do it. And let me tell you that I have told this to Dorin many times. I feel that I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of him too. I'm proud of what we have achieved so far. Maybe it's not the ultimate situation, because everything takes a lot of hard work, times and all. But I think that starting a project like this, not at 20 years old, not being 20 years old, also take a lot of courage. So I have always perceived myself as a courageous person. If somebody asked me one time, when you are not here anymore in this world, why do you want to be remembered for? I say, okay, for being brave, for being courageous. That's what I want to be. People, they have to live their lives without fear, right?
Yeah, but translate it's this.
Yeah, but the thing is that because of love, we decided to push this forward. I have to say that originally, this was Dorin's dream. It was not my dream originally, right? Because he was here in 2018 because he wanted to have his brand. He registered his brand, Sperlinga and all. I was not in his life until...
No, either in my dreams.
Yeah, yeah. So our paths were not crossed at the moment. So he had his own dream about having his cigars. What I did is when we met, we just joined our passion for each other, our love, and for the cigars. In my case, for Habanos at the moment, and him for what he was just doing at the moment. And we decided to push this forward. That we were convinced at the moment that we were going to be successful. We didn't know We just wanted to do something which was our creation, which was something that we liked, we loved, and we thought that it had to be excellent, it had to be good for us and for everybody, right? And today, on the way, of course, there are days, and I've told this before, there are days in which I say, oh my God, what have I got myself into? This is not easy. It's not easy, but you go on because this is what you like. It's like, it's everything in life, you know, when you're studying, you have successes, you have failures. When you are working in certain things, you say, okay, today was good, but today was not so good. Doesn't matter. That when it comes resilience, and I think that that's why we have one cigar, which is resilience. In our lives, we have been very resilient people, and in this business also. And I think it takes from all human beings to be very resilient to face all the challenges in life and all the challenges in this industry also, and in the whole process. But I think the flame is love. That's what's behind all.
Honestly, it's so complicated. It's so complicated.
But it's beautiful.
But it's nice.
It's beautiful. It's
it's
worth living, you know?
More, 1 million more complicated, I think. But we go on.
Yeah, but it's what we like. If you tell me now, okay, if you were able to choose to do this again or not, I would do it again.
Exactly.
For me, has been a great experience. At this moment in my life, more than 50 years old. Well, I started a little bit a few years ago, but of course I would do it again without thinking, without any worries.
Art.
Yeah, well, Dorin wanted me to say something.
I like this.
Because he likes this. It's true. The thing is that most of us appreciate art, right? In one manifestation or other. In my particular case, I'm unable to produce art. I cannot sing or compose something, or I cannot paint decently. So I say, okay, how can I just put my creativity or my passion for art into something? And it's in cigars, right? With the right conditions, with the right people to help you how to achieve what you have in your mind, because that's when the master blender comes into the picture. So you have an idea and he interprets what you want and he helps you just materializing this. And that's what we do. We put this artistic side of us into making cigars. That's it.
Danays, I'm curious now. You have an extremely refined palate. You have a lot of tasting experience. Your sommelier background. Now, please just tell me if you don't want to answer the question. If you feel like you know it's probably giving away any information you don't want to share. But when you approach a master blender with your experience, and by the way, I have to say that I'm completely with you, and I very much respect that you say you take a new approach to this. You're not master blenders. You don't try to portray, you know, something of being the creator and somebody who knows everything about tobacco, when we all know the greatest tobacco men and women on this planet Earth, even in their 90s and when they're above 100, they will still learn every single day. So I think there is no real mastery to this craft. But when you approach the master blenders at the factories that you work with, what is the brief that you give them with your experience? How do you talk to them about, this is what I would love to compose. Here's the violin that I'd love to hear. Here's the brass coming in and give us a little bit of bass here to oomph it up. How do you speak with them, and how did you tackle verbalizing what you had on your palate in order to bring it into the form of a cigar then?
She will answer to you, but I want to tell you something about master blenders. We are not master blender, but we work with 3 master blenders, one bigger than other, permanent. And
we have been
all these 3 guys, which are big name, I don't want to talk about them, but the biggest probably names, we do different things with them. we know how to do with everybody. And this is the, I think, is the art that we do it, to work with three very, very big master blenders and to know what to do with everybody. And now you must answer because it's important, very important.
Yeah, of course, when you present a project, for instance, the Volcano's line, which was so complicated project. When we went to see Manuel, we just presented the project, were 20 different cigars, each box, 5 boxes with the names of continents, in each box 4 cigars with names of volcanoes from that continent and all that. We had an idea, we had an idea about the shapes that we wanted. On the way, we had to adjust few of the shapes of the formats that we wanted. But the good thing about talking to a very knowledgeable master blender is that what I said before, he interprets, or her, can be a woman too, of course, what you want. You only explain this, you know, in a way like a poetry. This is what I want, and then this. I think I know what you want. Let's start. And it took some time for us to have some samples, but let me tell you that probably it's not very nice, the word, but he nailed it. It was so good, everything that he presented, you know. In that case, we did not make adjustments, you know.
But we changed 5-6 times every cigar.
Yeah, but formats and things. But he was so good at understanding what we wanted, and that's a blessing. That's a blessing. Not all the projects are the same, right? In the case of the Life Journey line, it took 2 years to arrive to what changing shapes and the blends, and this is necessary to be a little bit more intense, or this one, you know, little changes like this. I'm tasting. It was a different process, or the process was completely different from the other one. And as Dorin said, now we are working on something new that we cannot unveil any details, but we went to see a master blender, and when I thought of the name of the cigar, I said, this, I could have chosen, you know, this or the other one. I said, okay, I want to work this cigar with this person because it has a lot of, you know, philosophy and, you know, poetry. And I said, this person will understand what I want.
More than master blender, it's a person.
Yeah. So hopefully we will arrive to the end of this project because we want to do this, but it takes also from our side to say, okay, this type of cigar or this type of line we may do with this person, or I think that maybe this master blender will understand, because you start, first of all, you need to know the human being, right? And that tells you a lot also about how this person may understand or interpret what you want to achieve. I don't know, that's how it has been.
Just on a very rudimentary sensory level, I'm curious, what are the main attributes that you look for when putting together a blend? Do you focus on specific elements, or do you have certain preferences, you know, when it comes to mouthfeel, when it comes to the harmony of how the blend works in its entirety? Then, especially since you have the sommelier's background and training, I'm curious to dive a little deeper into those sensory aspects and how you decompose a cigar and then start to put everything back together in order to create something.
Well, I don't know if you want to say something about it. Okay, so in a very simple way, I would say that for me, let's start by when you see a cigar. So before smoking, right? So the cigar, it requires to be nice. the site, right?
Because first it's the
yeah,
ice.
exactly. Well constructed with a nice wrapper and all. Perfect so far. So then construction is essential, right? That's just mechanics. Construction has to be good. But when it comes to the sensory appreciation or analysis or the evolution, the cigar needs to evolve through the smoke. For me, you need to start with some notes and some strength profile, and that has to increase. They has to evolve, to be different. You have to be able to appreciate a very wide palette of aroma, very wide. And I'm the type of smoker, I smoke very slow. I really don't like to rush a cigar. I always recommend just to smoke slowly, because if you put too much oxygen into the cigar, smoke too fast, the cigar will not taste, it will not surrender to yourself, will not give you all that can give if you smoke slowly, right? Because the temperature affects the flavor of the cigar, the perception of the smoke in the palate. And I like to smoke slowly and just analyze everything. And maybe I'm not the most refined taster in the world, but I'm so happy when I'm able to feel just a hint of something. And I say, wow, I just felt this, because I smoke that happens to me when you study languages, right? When you see a movie in another language, I like to have the subtitles in another language, and either my own language or in English or something. And all the time you are seeing the movie, but you're analyzing and comparing one language with the other one, and how did they say this and that. And when you smoke a cigar for tasting, it's like this. You all the time are just analyzing. You're all the time trying to pick notes, to discover maybe new things, and that's why I consider it's very important your predisposition and the conditions that you create for smoking a cigar. It's not the same to smoke a cigar like I like to do in the morning when I'm gonna taste. I have smoked so many Sperlingas, I have no idea how many, because I really need to know my cigars, and I can tell, because I need to say, okay, this cigar is this one, or is there consistency in this cigar, or something is changed, or how does it taste and smell, and how are the aromas and in the morning, and how they are how can I can perceive those in the evening, and in the middle of the day, or when I'm relaxed, or when I'm with other people. So all the time I'm just analyzing,
And
you know.
thinking a perception of the smoker.
Exactly.
We smoke all the time the cigars, we put a ring. And
Yeah.
we look at cigar, it's drink, how is the cigar, okay?
Exactly.
Testing in the...
We recreate in our office.
We have a cigar lounge in the
We
office.
have at the entrance, instead of being a reception of an office, it's just a cigar lounge. We had made a huge coffee table, and we have couches, and we sit there to smoke our cigars like any person would do in a cigar lounge. Because I say, I cannot sit behind a desk to smoke a cigar. I have to smoke the cigar how the person, the clients, the consumers are going to be sitting in a cigar lounge or in their houses, in any place, and enjoy the cigar. So we recreate the same conditions, and we smoke and we taste our cigars there. But for me, it's essential, first of all, that the tobacco used is well fermented, is well aged, because I can feel it when it's not.
But we taste it.
Yeah, but I can feel it. So our cigars, they have to be, the raw material, the tobacco used has to be well fermented, has to be well aged, has to be well constructed, and it has to be an explosion of different notes.
One other aspect is you take a different approach in how you build a line. And it's something that is either not spoken about very often, or you just don't see that approach so often. And that is you treat every single vitola as a unique blend in and by itself, right? So you truly blend towards the specifics and the mechanics of the particular vitola rather than saying, well, here's our recipe X, and then you try to apply that to 7 different formats, which could lead to drastically different smoking experiences.
Yes. For instance, in the case of the Life Journey line, right, which is our core line, I said it before. We tasted so many cigars, so many different formats. Yeah, we smoked for 2 years so many cigars, and at the end we decided, okay, we want to have these formats, and then having the formats, we said, okay, we will start trying now how they taste, right? And then we were like defining, or just picking up the details. Okay, this cigar, because of the shape and because of the name of the cigar, has to be a little bit more intense. And here I need it to be milder, like this. It's a long process, and it was developed this way. We tasted a lot of cigars before, we decided the names and all that. But now, for instance, in this other cigar that now we are working on, I came up with a name.
One cigar.
One cigar with a name. And I said, I want one cigar with this name because of what represents for me, for my beliefs, for my philosophy in life, and I want a cigar with this name. And then now we are tasting different blends, right? And the master blender asked me, what do you want from this cigar? And I said, it has to be a memorable smoke. Only that. Then we will continue working, of course. But at the moment, I was not going to tell him, I want a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of spices. No, it was a little bit more wider than that, right? It has to be a memorable cigar, because maybe we can arrive to have a couple of blends which are different in the composition and what gives you when you smoke the cigars, and both are memorable. At that moment, then we will have to decide, okay, going with this that we want to develop, will go. It's a different approach. So probably it will change depending on what comes first to your mind, right? I have in my mind some blends that I would like to try without a name. Okay, I want to try this type of tobacco in one of our blends. That's another thing. But there are different approaches, I believe, right?
Beautiful. Over to Albert, who has a couple of questions for you. Welcome, buddy. Good to see you, Albert.
Hi, thanks for my 5 minutes of fame.
Hello.
Make it 10 or however many you like, buddy. It's your moment.
Danays, it's so nice to see you guys. It's always a pleasure to see a couple working on the same project. And it obviously brings its own challenges, but I'm not going to talk about that because I think it could take an hour alone to discuss that. My question actually is quite simple. So question number one is I looked at your website and it's it's beautifully explaining the story and of the blends and even explaining the wrappers, the binders. I love it. I love the detail. It kind of gives me hints what I could expect from the cigar. So question number one is, what is that predominant flavor, or actually maybe flavors in your blends, and all of them together? Is it creaminess? Is it that it's milder than you would expect from wrapper? Or maybe you looking chocolatey flavors to really be dominant. So what is the predominant? When I pick up a Sperlinga cigar, any cigar, what I would expect, if I never tried it?
First of everything, we don't make the strong cigars. We like flavors, we like aromas, we like nice tastes. And all the time, you know it's complicated. When you have a line of 9 cigars, like our core line, you must make it different, but must have something common. Exactly how you talk about. We like the cigars to be creamy. This is very important, very, very important. And after this, there are different tastes and hints, natural like earth, like leather, like seeds, no?
Dry fruits, yeah.
Dry fruits. And this is a line, simplified.
Many of our cigars, they are...
More details going in, you can tell me I'm a little of the surface of the things. It's more problem about all this.
You know, if you analyze both lines so far, they are completely different. If you go to the Volcano's line, you will find the cigars are, even though we used vintage tobacco and they have been rolled for some time, the few boxes that we still have, you can tell by smoking those cigars that they are very different one from the other one, and it's a very they are more intense smoke.
8 years tobacco.
Yeah, but even though for instance, the tobacco in general used for the blends of the Volcano's line, we have there Nicaragua, we have Dominican, Ecuador, we have Cameroon, we have Mexico, Colombia. So it's a very wide range of tobaccos used in these blends. And the fact that the shapes are all, the formats are all different, it will differentiate. Yeah, but it will differentiate, you know, very much one smoke from the other one, right? And it's because it's something unique. This Volcano's line is something that is not the type of line that you could have as a core line. It's very complicated because of all the tobaccos, because of all the shapes and all, and that's why we decided to make it like a limited edition. But when you can identify, let's say, a style, but when you go to the Life Journey line, even though there are 9 different shapes and 9 different blends, you can identify another style, right? So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you if you taste them, you say, okay, these cigars are different one from the other one, of course, but probably in the Life Journey line, sweetness is present in many cigars. 2 of them, they have San Andres wrapper, which I love.
Yeah. I love it too. Yeah. On the same page here.
Yes. And they have a lot of Dominican tobacco, different varieties, right? So, and they have also Pennsylvania from the United States, and some of them. And you can say, okay, these cigars yes, but you can identify a different line of work, a different style in these cigars. I may say that probably you may think, okay, this is more let's say, I don't like to put tags on things, but maybe you can identify more Dominican notes, right, on the Life Journey line. But I'm very proud of the Life Journey line, even though some people, they are not very fond of Dominican tobacco. Dominican tobacco is very nice. As long as you have a very well fermented and aged tobacco and a very good variety and all, and very well blended also, because
there are 54 varieties of Dominican tobacco.
Yeah,
54.
Well, but here, planted here. Yeah, planted
okay,
here.
Only one Dominican. Yeah. The rest practically is Cuban seeds.
Yes, really, but of course,
54 here.
Yeah, already adapted and with characteristics of the soil of the Dominican Republic. But I can tell you that one of the things that I have, I have still some notes in the Life Journey line when I smoke the cigars, and I say, okay, I need, and I go and check for research and things on organoleptics and flavors of tobacco and all, because some notes for me are difficult to identify or to say, okay, this is the name of this.
Yeah.
And every time I check for
Assimilation.
no, a basis for this, something that tells me, okay, this is this type of probably chemical compound or whatever, or aroma precursor that may impart these notes during the smoke. But
I guess I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just trying to like crystallize a little bit. If I have to present that cigar to somebody that haven't smoked it. So one thing that from what you said, it really stands out, that is a deep complexity,
yes.
and expect the unexpected, because even if you smoked a lot of cigars, this is something that's gonna be unique, and you once you smoke it, then you can describe yourself better, because it's just so complex that you can't just describe in a few words.
Yes.
If I'm saying it in a correct way. Yeah, so yeah, well, we agreeing on that, and I just being mindful about the time, we not just Reinhard's, but yours as well. So I have a second and last question. Is actually completely different angle. Well, I had to Google, and what I found that Sperlinga is basically. I think it's a place in Italy. It's like a small province or small town, something like that, and it's in Italy, Sicily maybe. But the name itself doesn't have a specific meaning, even in Italian language, I believe. So question, yeah. So question is, what is that connection? What is the connection? What is connection with Italy? Is there a connection with Italy?
Yes, there is a connection. So Sperlinga is a commune in Sicily. And
with a castle.
Yeah, there is a castle that was carved on the rock and all. And we went there, and we had to drive back at the sunset. And I told Dorin, next time we come here, we have to come in a helicopter, because it's so dangerous, so high, so dangerous, but it's a wonderful place. Well, the thing is that's a Sperlinga, and Dorin has a nobility title, and it's related to this name, so it's a Duke of Sperlinga, and that's why the name of Sperlinga.
Yeah, it's my name.
It's his predicate, yes, and that's why he decided to use this name for the brand. At the beginning, I said Sperlinga. When I heard the word for the first time, I said, so strange, my God. But when you start using it, and when it's unusual, it has a real story behind, and it's in my blood, So I feel it like
she's not just a Sperlinga.
Yeah, but that's not important. So that's the origin, right? That's why he called it the brand like this. That's basically it.
Well, that's actually a beautiful story, because I was almost like hoping, not really hoping, but thinking that you're gonna say, what, that's where we met.
Not exactly. So our way of meeting was a little more modern than the castle. It was Facebook.
Not Facebook like with Reinhard.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have any more questions, Reinhard. Over to you. Just
Thank
before I hand the mic. No, thank you. I just wanted to say that the first time we heard that brand name, it rhymed in my mind for whatever reason. Superliga. Okay, Reinhard, back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Albert, many thanks. Great questions. Christos, I see your hand up. It's good to have you with us, as always, my man. Very happy to see you.
Thank you.
Fire away.
Just to reply to Albert, because I've tried a lot of Sperlinga cigars.
Yes.
The main, yes, the
We know
main
this.
flavors are dried fruits, definitely, sweetness, and dried mushrooms. But the most important thing is the construction. I mean, I had 3 consecutive cigars with long ash. I mean, I could have won the cigar world championship with the Sperlinga cigars. It's a shame that they're using other brands in the cigar smoking world championship, because if they use Sperlinga, everybody would be a winner.
Don't get me into trouble with Marco. He's my boss. That.
Yeah, well, one question. In some of the Volcano's lines, you are using Cuban tobacco. Is that correct?
It's incorrect. It's not.
Incorrect.
No, not Cuban tobacco.
How?
So probably Cuban seeds planted either in Ecuador or in Dominican
Dominican
Republic
Republic.
or Nicaragua.
Well fermented, 2
Yes.
3 times. And
Yes.
like this, arrive to have a little idea of Cuban tobacco. We know this.
From,
Yes, thank you.
from Vuelta Arriba. You mean the seeds came from Vuelta Arriba? Because it says in some of the, if I remember correctly, because it's been 2 years now that I read that it has seed from Vuelta Arriba.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, that I'm sorry because I have to say something about that. There was a mistake in the writing. It's Vuelta Abajo. It's not Vuelta Arriba. It's Vuelta Abajo. So we corrected that. But that variety, it's originally a Cuban variety developed here in Dominican Republic by Leo Reyes. And it was a Cuban seed planted by him. And he called it like this, Habana Vuelta Abajo.
Okay.
HVA.
Yeah, just for the ones who will try the cigars eventually, so that they will have this clarified.
No, thank you very much for bringing this to the table and for allowing us to clarify this.
Thanks, Emilio. Reinhard. Thank
Christos, thank you very much. Andy, good to see you. I think is it still good morning to you or already good afternoon? In any case, a pleasure to see you and welcome back to the lounge.
Appreciate it. It's a good afternoon.
Well, there we go.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Lovely to have you with us.
Good to be here. A couple of interesting questions. Mine are not too in depth, but over the years we've all smoked a lot of cigars, some being complex and some being one-dimensional. Would you describe your cigars as being one-dimensional, or would you say that they're more complex?
Oh, about
Complex.
about the dimension we make cigar.
No, he says that one dimension is some people they call it like flat cigars. You know, that's only one way of
Good evolution.
Yeah,
It's important
yeah.
for us very much the evolution.
For
of
us,
the
it's
cigar.
very important for the cigar to evolve in terms of intensity and in terms of notes, different notes, not to be, only one line. I don't think it's possible for a cigar to be just flat because if you think of a cigar and how it burns, the combustion just advances and all, it has to evolve in a way. But some they evolve more than others.
There are cigars with 2 tobacco inside.
Well, a good example.
In terms of combustion, so it has to change a little bit. But for us, it's very important for the cigar to be complex. Complexity is what we all look for, right?
Right. Well, to a certain degree, like if you're smoking a Padron, it's a very one-dimensional cigar. It's delicious, it's great, but it's pretty one-dimensional. It's not going to change its personality. And if you were to smoke, let's say, a Fuente, it's going to change its personality 2 or 3 times. If you're smoking a 724, it's going to change about 5 times.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked, because I like them all, but
right.
just curious. And then It's funny. I'm glad you mentioned Leo Reyes. I love Leo to death. He's got great tobaccos over at his warehouse. I used to buy Ecuadorian Habano from him, and just he's great at whatever he touches. Do you sell cigars in California at all?
Not yet.
We wish.
We wish.
Okay, because I haven't seen your cigars anywhere, and I'm curious to try them. So that leads me to the next question. Are you coming to PCA?
Not
No.
this year. We
This
are
year.
not going to PCA this year. We have to be prepared for that. And since we are a small company, right? Luckily, we were able to start selling in Europe, and now we are in the Middle East also. But of course, the United States for us is very important. It's and we are working on that. Hopefully, next year we'll be in PCA as
We'll
we
be in
want.
Dortmund this year.
As we want. Our first international exposure and was this last year, Dortmund, Intertabac, and it was a great experience, and we are very much looking forward to being in PCA also. It's very important for us to have presence in the United States. There are so many different smokers, so many different, it's so wide. I think it's very important to be there.
Oh yeah, no, we're one of the larger markets in the United States, so I'm curious to try your cigars, but I can't get them here. You're not coming to PCA. You and I, Danays, we've known each other a while online. We're gonna have to talk offline to figure something out here.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I am dying to see what you've come up with. I kind of have an idea of who your master blenders are, but what you were edging out about who you were going to see to have make your cigars. So, and they do a wonderful job out there. So
thank you very much.
So we'll have to see, especially if you're using, some of the tobaccos from Leo. Yeah, love his tobaccos.
Yes,
So.
yes. And you know what happens with Leo? The thing is that it comes to what we were discussing at the beginning. It comes to respect. He respects himself. So he does not sell tobacco that he does not consider is in the right conditions to be sold, So, and then you can trust what you're buying.
I always laugh at Leo's warehouse because he likes to use the cardboard boxes for the aging. And I just love it. It's old school,
Yes,
So
we'll
it's
be
wonderful.
there. And
It's our
it's
friend.
wonderful.
It's our
Yes,
friend,
yes,
and we
yes.
have a very good relation with them.
Yes, and we have
Quasi all the tobacco. Quasi all the tobacco.
mostly all the tobacco is from here.
Right on. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'll get in touch with you offline. I've got your info.
Sure.
So.
Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you very much for being
Always
here.
a pleasure seeing you.
Thank you.
Great to have you with us, Andy. Thanks for
Good to see you. And you, I know I'll see at the PCA.
Oh yeah, I look forward to it, man. We'll make it happen. 2 months.
You got it.
Danays, Dorin, when we look at the current portfolio of Sperlinga cigars and how you structured this whole thing, what's your idea moving forward? Obviously, I love that you have sort of the core line with the life journey line that is also very diverse and offers these all these experiences and their different facets. But how do you want to structure this whole thing and build these little offshoots here and there and lines here and there? And I'm asking this specifically because every now and then, we discuss this on the show here as to how the manufacturers think about the portfolio in its entirety and how they want to strategically position individual lines in their brand.
Well, yeah. So we have the core line, yes, as you correctly said, and it's a line that when we created, with this name, we knew that we were going to have endless possibilities of adding new cigars to this line. So we plan to continue growing the life journey line. Imagine, even though we have the longing, the crossroads, the resilience, the passion, the dream, the choice, the beginning, the decision, and the story, how many other emotions, feelings, situations in the human life we can have. So we will continue growing that portfolio, but also the Volcanoes line was created or was conceived to be a project in two different phases, right? We have the first one, and then we still don't know when we will have a second part, and it will be over because it's a limited edition. It's not a limited edition with a name for marketing purposes. It's limited edition because of the concept of the project is very unique, because the tobacco used is also unique in terms of aging and all the provenance of the tobacco. It was very challenging because of the design of the boxes. Each box, the tray was designed for each cigar with the shape of the cigar. We wanted to be elegant. We wanted to be also simple. We believe in that elegance lies on simplicity also, not too much intricate things. It's our perception, right, of elegance, and elegance in design, but elegance mostly in the smoke, which is the essence of this, right? So it's just a combination of both things. And we want, now we are working on this new cigar. We have other line that we're going to develop, but
theoretically we want to make one limited edition every year. This is the idea, something. This is a desire. Yes, we hope to.
Exactly. We really want to do nice things, things that can satisfy a discerning palate. From not the palate when it comes to the blends of the tobaccos and all, but also to be appealing to the eye of the smoker. We worked. I think that we worked in little details, like when designing the ring to be a simple ring, and I consider it's simple, but it's elegant, and just to have some message inside. So it's just to make a whole experience, or with these little details to enhance the experience of the smoker. So they not only smoke the cigars and say, oh, it's nice, or oh, look at this ring is nice too. But when you detach the ring, you find another message that has to do with the origin of the brand. And like this, we try to convey messages through the different, it's right here. Well, but probably you have seen it already. So it's not a complicated ring, just simple with a little thingy there. I forgot the name of that in English. But okay, so we want to continue developing, and we want to continue to put our lives and passion into that. A lot of people, they say, don't you have a more economic cigars? Okay, we have some cigars which are very specific for certain markets. They were developed for certain markets, but it's not our mission in this to become
to use fresh tobacco, because to be cheap, you must use fresh tobacco.
We're not interested in that, So it's we are more focused on a slower progress, because when you work in these lines, the progress is slower, right? The brand awareness also takes longer, and but that's the way we want to work. Good things. To put all the resources into that, all our the little expertise that we have to work with people that they know very much about it, and to give something memorable for the cigar lovers.
Beautiful. Brian, you had a question.
Hello, thank you. I'm in California as well, just like Andy here. So yeah, disappointed that I won't be able to try these anytime soon, but I had some questions because we have this wonderful wine region in California that we go to frequently, and I think I have a bad palate for wine and cigars actually, and my wife seems to understand the notes of wine much better than I can, but I'm curious because you have such knowledge in both areas. So, two questions about that. Knowing as much as you do about wine, we've had this discussion on the lounge several times about how wine has a year and a vintage for that year every time. It held the same name, but this is the date. And cigars not so much. There's been a couple brands here and there that have put a date on it, and maybe change the blend a little bit here and there, each year and this and that. And I'm wondering, since you know so much about both worlds, what's the main reason why that doesn't exist in cigars more? And maybe, I mean, I grew up in Montana, but that doesn't mean I have to be a farmer. So I don't know anything about farming, but I think, forgive me for being a novice. The vines are very old, but in terms of tobacco, it's planted fresh from a seed every year. I may be completely wrong. And maybe that's the big difference in terms of coming up with years on the label. But you tell me. And then the other question is, when you're looking for notes in cigars and wine, is it exactly the same process, but a different vessel? Or does the process change because they're two different things?
Okay. Let's go to the first question. And of course, when you talk about wines and you talk about tobacco, we're talking about completely two different plants, right? You have perennials in the vegetable world, right? And you have these type of plants like tobacco that just, you can leave it there, but it will not yield the same results, right? What will come out of, once you harvest a tobacco plant, what comes after, it will not give you the same. And you cannot consider a tobacco plant just a perennial, right? That a plant that like a tree, because vines, even though they are not trees, but they can live many, many years, right? And that it has to do with the type of plant. So that's something that we cannot change. And in some people, they use what is called capadura. In some places it's called like this. In Cuba, for instance, they call it like this. So they just harvest, they cut the leaves, and some other leaves they come out after that. So they may use that also, but that plant will not last providing leaves of high quality for a long time. So it's just how the vegetable world is. Different plants with different living times. And of course, if you look at the roots of a tobacco plant, and you look at the roots of a vine, right? That gives you a very good explanation. How are the roots of a vine? They go very, very deep into the soil, just looking for the water and the nutrients, and even the hydric stress is applied sometimes to them to produce more intense flavors in the grapes, not very diluted in water. If you put a lot of water or they have a lot of water. These are very details, just talking like this, browsing the topic. And
so do you think, am I right then, you think that would be the main reason then why wine has years with their bottles as opposed to cigars, because it's literally the same plant 1 year later?
No, yeah, that depends on how much control you have on the origin of the tobacco. If you have a good source and you know that this is from this, like for instance, in the case of I don't know, I none of them come to my mind right now, but probably some producers, they are able, because they produce the plant, they cultivate, right, and they harvest and all. probably they can be able to say, okay, this tobacco, this particular tobacco is from this year. It could be done. Why not? It could be done. Probably some of the tobacco in the blend. Maybe they are not able to do it with all the tobacco, but it takes to have a lot of control and to own the plantation and to know what you're doing. It is possible. Impossible is not. It is possible. Probably a little bit more difficult, right? But it's possible to do it. And I want to mention something, and it has to do with the second question, probably in some extent, is the fact that most of the terminology when it comes to tasting from the tobacco world comes from the wine world. It has been there for a longer period of time. It has been more studied, scientifically speaking, right? And also in terms of sensory analysis and all. So we have taken from the wine world a lot of terminology to be able to analyze the tobacco, even though there are two different products. One comes to your mouth in the shape of or in the form of smoke, and the other one is a liquid, but it helps a lot. So it gives you a lot of tools and techniques probably to appreciate. So I don't know if that answers in a way what you were asking before, but yes, knowing the wine world, knowing the spirits world, how they are made, how they are tasted professionally, it helps a lot how to appreciate and how to taste also the cigar. It gives you a lot of tools to do that, even though they're different products. If I haven't answered completely, please go ahead and ask me again. Probably I got myself lost on the way.
No, it's fascinating. Yeah, thank you. That's great. Yeah, I hadn't considered the idea that with wine, it's all the same grape unless you're creating a blend. Cigars, you might be taking different tobaccos from different areas. And so, yeah, in terms of a year, that would be challenging.
No, but you know, in the case of the grapes also is challenging because every year is different. The climate changes very much, so you don't get the same amount of sugar content in a grape in 1 year than the other one, right? And that maybe in the fields, they decided just to harvest at this point because they made the test and they say, okay, this is the right moment to harvest this, or let's not wait until it rains because it will dilute the flavors and it will dilute the sugar content in the grape. It's challenging in both cases. The thing is that in the tobacco world, it takes a lot of expertise and hard work to be able to maintain the profile of a cigar from year to year because of the changes, right? Of these changes. Because the smoker expects to smoke always the same, to feel the same, right? And in the case of the wine, people, they do not expect every year, is my perception, right? Because they know that they can change depending on the vendimia or the harvest moment, how the year was and all that. So it's like more acceptable, the changes in the wine than in the cigar world.
Right. And that's just kind of, that's how it is because it got that way. It's just tradition almost in a way, and years of, that's interesting. Okay, so yeah, to clarify on the second one, so when you, let's say you go in to taste a wine and a cigar, because they do share the, maybe cigars kind of world sort of stole some of the terminology, from wine. And we had this one guest on who was a sommelier. He was talking about how when he's going in to pick out notes and maybe he can figure out the year and grape, when he's tasting, he says he goes into a mansion in his mind. He's going down a hallway and he goes into this room and this is where he finds out the fruit and this is, this and that. So does your mind go into the exact same process for wine and cigars? Does it sort of activate the same thought process or like part of the brain because it's a different? I don't know. Is it exactly the kind of same? I don't know if that question makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense, and I'm not 100% sure that I have the right answer, but yeah, in my opinion and in my experience, my training in the wine and spirits and drinks world provided me with tools, with a way of thinking, right? A way of analyzing things that even though it's a different product, I can just adjust and use for this other one.
Right. Okay. That totally makes sense. Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, I have here a little bit of Dominican rum made by a Cuban rum maker. Cheers.
Cheers. And what a wonderful array of questions we had, and what a wonderful show. It's been truly fascinating and mesmerizing. Danays, one final question for you and Dorin. I'm curious. You did a couple of very nice Instagram lives and interviews yourself. You've been guest on a couple of shows, but you also hosted your own interview sessions. What is the one question that you always wanted to ask, but you feel it's not been asked enough in the cigar industry, and in particular on cigar shows, like the many podcasts and live shows out there?
Wow. Probably if I think I would come with some, yeah. Yeah, but you know, I think it has to do, maybe sometimes there are these preconceptions about things, right? And that I sometimes I have asked the question, sometimes I don't, because it all depends also on the audience and people you are interviewing and how comfortable the person feels and all that. So you, as an interviewer, you want to be true to yourself, true to your audience, but you also want to be considerate with the person you are interviewing. You don't want to put it in a, in a difficult situation. And sometimes, depending on that, if you see that the person is able to answer anything, okay, you go ahead with all. But probably these preconceptions, about cigars and some people, they have these beliefs that about cigars, and they assume it's like this, and probably has to do a little bit with this type of things. There are some, right, but sometimes I just stay with wanting to ask, a little bit more, a little bit more. And probably I was not 100% answering your question, but Reinhard, I believe that I don't know if you see me. Probably it's our connection. Are we still in? I don't know.
I believe he's still there.
I think he's still there. He's probably just turned his camera off for a minute.
Hello.
I think my Wi-Fi just gave up on me for a second.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Your shows are perfect all the time. All the time. I have experienced all sorts of things. You have no idea. Horrible things that have happened to me. But I always say, okay, this is life. It's a live show and it's life. So anything.
I always say it's a bit like a duck, it's calm and composed on the surface, but underneath the feet are paddling, and all madness is breaking loose.
Only people who, interviews and all that can understand how it feels to be on the other side, right? Just taking care of everything, keeping your questions in mind, and paying attention to everybody who's in the show, because it's important and you want them to feel good and to answer all the questions and all. And it's complicated, so you do a master work here. It's amazing.
Honestly, people like you make my job very easy here, because it's just having a wonderful conversation with people that are close to my heart and that I care for, and share that with so many other people. And it's just a candid conversation
Thank
amongst
you.
friends, and we
Thank you.
we try to always keep it that way, real and authentic and sincere and from the heart, you know. And it's I feel exactly what you also bring to the table with your project and with your cigars in particular, and to share that and to talk about that just is beautiful, I find. So kudos to
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, Reinhard. We really appreciate that. And you said, no, I'm honored. No, we are honored. We are. Thank you very much. And
Well, thank
knowing
you.
that so many people from the industry, that they have been working so hard and they have gone through a lot of ordeal for so many years, have been here with you, and for us to be here, we are like children in this industry. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You do an exceptional job, and I have the highest hopes and best wishes for you for everything that's to come. But I have a strong feeling that you're not only on a great path, but this will be a very interesting and very successful story moving forward. So
Thank
I
you.
wish you nothing but the very best for that, continued success, and most importantly, just enjoy that wonderful journey. And we will be there to closely follow that journey and to appreciate and experience it. And with the live journey, you framed it perfectly in your core line. So I'm very excited as to what's to come and what we can expect from Sperlinga Cigars.
Maybe you come in Dominican Republic, I invite you. It's open, please. We have time in a crossroads like this. You can smoke a crossroads of our cigars together.
Much appreciated. I will definitely I'll take you up on that promise, and I can't wait to come. It's been too long since I've been to the DR, but very much for looking forward to visiting next time. We'll make it happen. That's a promise.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Danays, Leon Sanchez, Dorin Potolinka, thank you so much for being our guests at the Light 'em Up Lounge. Thank you very much for everything that you shared with us. As I said, we wish you nothing but the very best continued success, and keep up the amazing work. For everybody,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was a big pleasure.
next Wednesday, same time, same station. Until then, light 'em up. Take care, everybody, and many, many
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.